How do we decide which books to read? Where do we find those books? If we could be friends with any character from any book we've ever read, which character would it be? Those are just some of the questions we'll be answering today. Welcome back to the Life on Books podcast. My name is Tony. With me, as always, is Andy, a.k.a. Metafictional Meathead. Andy, how are you?
Doing all right, Tony. Yourself?
Pretty good.
Good.
It's been a minute.
I know. I was thinking about that yesterday. I mean, we didn't record last weekend because I was down in the Cape. The weekend before, we did the call with Seth and Dave.
Yep. Which was remote.
Yeah. So it's been a while. It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah.
Feels like it's been longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a ton of great questions.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking all about books today on this book podcast. And what have you been reading lately? We'll start with the weekly reading update.
Not a ton. Life's been a little weird for me lately. Everything's good with the, tumor and those related effects, but just other stuff's just been weird. So,
yep.
Haven't gotten as much reading done lately as I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, really focused on all the jiu-jitsu and lifting and training and stuff like that. So, been doing a little bit more of that. So, I've just been exhausted.
Yeah.
So, I get home at 8 o'clock or whatever and eat dinner, and then it's almost 9. It's just I just want to flop and be a slouch until it's time to go to bed.
Especially with the type of books you tend to read.
Yeah. It's tough to get home from, lifting in the morning, a long day at work, a couple classes of jiu-jitsu, and then really dive into the combinations, because that's just that takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But I've been reading that and the combinations by Louis Armand and Gessel Dome by Guillermo Sacamano.
Cool. I heard that's great.
I'm loving it. It's one that is really cool because it's kind of there aren't chapter breaks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just straight text. I mean, there's a lot of paragraph breaks, physical spacing between the sections, and it's just kind of this mix of vignettes about this kind of touristy villa in Argentina, and kind of most of it takes place during the off season, when it's just kind of that seedy underbelly of year rounders that you would expect from
I mean you're from a touristy place. I'm from a touristy place, so I get it.
So it's certainly it's pretty intense at times. There's a lot of drug dealing and just criminal activity and stuff like that, which
it's our favorite.
Certainly, takes place on the Cape, but not anywhere near the extent of what's going on in this book.
Yeah.
And it is also a much smaller community than I grew up with on the Cape, but there are certain themes and characteristics that kind of remind me of just a random march on Cape Cod where there's nothing going on. It's just quiet and dead. Yeah. So it's been cool.
Nice.
And a little bit of Middle Sea mixed in. I've fallen behind on that, and I kind of hit a stretch where you and I were talking about it, and I think I missed the call, but I think you said a lot of people agreed this particular stretch that I'm in was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And so, it's been tough to just sit down and kind of have a marathon session with that, because I'll read a chapter or two and be this is so boring. And
there's definitely, it's overall a very slow book for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was published when he was 90 years old.
Yeah.
So he was probably slowed down in life quite a bit when he wrote it.
Yeah. And there's the other two I mentioned aren't particularly like that. At least Gessel Dome, that moves a lot, and there's some, I don't want to say shock value because that sounds kind of hokey, but there's a lot of tension in that book that kind of pulls you in.
Cool. I'm the opposite of you.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Been reading a lot. So I've got about 120 pages left of Moby Dick. I've only been reading a chapter or two a day.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot of other stuff. I read Death Takes Me by Cristina Rivera Garza for Women in Translation Month. Hated it. I thought it was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah. It starts off super strong. The premise is there's a serial killer in Mexico, and they're killing men only, castrating them,
Yep.
and leaving poetry by Alejandra Pizarnik at the crime scene, which is a super interesting.
Yeah, right off the bat, like I'm in. I want to read that.
And that's pretty much it. After that, it's just a bunch of fractured vignettes that are loosely related to each other, sometimes not. A lot of random poetry thrown in. There's a setup of a lot of interesting characters. So the lead detective is a woman. The prime suspect is a woman. And they have this like tense relationship, but then that kind of just never goes anywhere. It's kind of implied that maybe the suspect is like sleeping with one of the police officers, but that's never really explained or goes anywhere. There's notes left by the killer at the home of the prime suspect. Then that just goes away. That storyline just goes away and disappears. Like literally the supposed killer that's leaving these notes just says like, this is going to be my last note. And then it is. And that's like in the first third of the book. You're like, okay.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, I did not enjoy it. I did a review on our Patreon and somebody else commented that they didn't enjoy it. A couple other people said that they've read some of her other books that are very similar. I don't know. It to me, it felt like instead of like writing a good story, it was like, oh, this is what serious and like thoughtful literature does. It like it's super speculative.
Yeah.
You remember when Seth said that poetry is not a riddle to be solved? That's how I feel like poetry is used in this book.
As a riddle to be solved.
As a riddle to be solved. And I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So not great. I wanted to love it.
Yeah, it's weird. I've said this before with books like that, where it's that kind of fractured vignette style, where it's either it's so hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Like it either just knocks it out of the park, or I'm just like, so what?
I've noticed it's pretty common in Latin American literature. Fury by Cleo Mendoza is like that.
Yeah.
And the thing about Fury is like the whole book is like that. It sets the expectation from the beginning. And as weird and fractured as it is, there are some threads that you can kind of see get tied together throughout the book.
Right.
That never really happens with this, in my opinion. And then there's also this weird like stop and go of a few chapters of like normal narrative. And then it just gets like weird and fractured.
Yeah.
And then it goes back. And it just, I don't know. It felt very disjointed to me. So I finished Middle C by William Gass. I don't know what to think of this book, honestly. There's things about it I really loved. There's things about it it was okay.
Yeah.
It like simultaneously felt like a William Gass novel and did not feel like a William Gass novel. I mean, it's so different from Omen Setter's Luck and The Tunnel, but there's also like a lot of stuff that's very Gass-esque in the book. It's very philosophical. It's there's a lot of alliteration. There's a lot of like, kind of musicality to the writing, but it's a lot more straightforward of a kind of book and very slow.
Yeah.
Very, very slow. But ultimately I liked it. I don't know. I think I might reread it at some point, to be honest, because there's a lot in there. It's pretty thematically dense. So
Yeah.
I started and DNF'd Last Words from Montmartre by Chu Mao Jin. So she's a Taiwanese author, or was a Taiwanese author. One of the most brutal dedications I've ever read in my entire life, for Dead Little Bunny and myself, soon dead. And she did kill herself. So this was her last book, published posthumously.
Okay.
So the premise of this is a woman, I think it's like heavily autobiographical. A Taiwanese woman living in Paris, writing letters to her former lovers.
Okay.
Premise sounds kind of interesting.
Oh.
There's like a Clarice Lispector epigraph in here, I think. So I was like getting pretty pumped. I read the first 35 pages and I was like, this reads like a 16-year-old girl's diary after she just like gets dumped by her first like boyfriend or girlfriend. And it was just very whiny. There was really nothing that interesting about the writing itself. It was just very plain and matter of fact. And maybe that's a translational issue. I don't know. It's translated by Ari Larissa Heinrich, which I don't know anything about that person as a translator. I was going to keep going because I was like, okay, it's only 35 pages and maybe changes. It's a short book. But literally the day after I started this, Kay from the book club posted in the Discord. She was like, has anyone read Notes of a Crocodile by Chu Mao Jin? I started reading it and just very whiny and her like complaining about like her girlfriends. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
I don't think this is going to get any better. So I think that was possibly, published based on who Chu Mao Jin was as a pioneering writer for queer Taiwanese people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the quality of the work. Like, I think she paved the way for a lot of other writers, but there wasn't much there for me. Party Headquarters by Georgi Tenyev, translated by Angela Rodell, published by our friends over at Open Letter. By the time this episode hits, they will still be having their women in translation sale, which this will qualify for because it's books written by women in translation or translated by women. This was originally written in Bulgarian. Weird little book, as many Open Letter books are.
Yep.
Wasn't like blown away by it. Didn't hate it. It's about this young guy who starts sleeping with the daughter of like a higher up in the Bulgarian Communist Party, and just kind of like it happens right around the time of the nuclear reactor issue they had over there. So
fun stuff.
Yep. Sticking with the Soviet theme.
Oh my goodness, we're still going.
The Kukatsky Enigma by Ludmila Yulitskaya, translated by from the Russian by Diane Nemec Ignashev. This is our August read for the book club, which Andy's not participating in because he couldn't get a copy because it sold out pretty much everywhere very quickly. It's excellent so far. I'm only 31 pages in. I've been kind of taking my time with it. But yeah, I like it. A little bit different than what I expected. Mm-hmm. It's got some like supernatural elements to it, which I didn't anticipate. Not much.
Yeah.
It's like, I would call it like maybe very, very loosely like magical realism.
Okay.
But also it's like typical Russian where everyone's got a million names and
everyone's suffering. Everyone's in despair.
Yeah. But it's good.
Life is pointless.
It's good. And one more.
Jesus Christ.
This is how it usually is for me. How to Quiet a Vampire by Borislav Pekic, translated by two people, Stephen M. Dickey and Bogdan Rakic. And this is not in accordance with women in translation. I just decided to read it. This book fucking rips, dude. This book is so good. I think somebody else had posted about this after I'd already grabbed a copy of it. And they said it kind of reminded them of The Tunnel.
Okay.
And I can definitely see the comparison. I mean, the writing style is not anything like Gas.
Yeah.
But just kind of like the philosophy of it and the brooding nature of it is fantastic. So the premise is there's this guy who was a member of the Gestapo and then the SS. Mm-hmm. And he somehow, escaped serving, any justice being served after the war. And he marries this woman whose brother is a historian. who was not a member of the Nazi Party. And so it's like 20 years after the end of the war. Mm-hmm. And he's like writing letters to his brother-in-law because him and his wife have gone on vacation to like where he was. He used to be a Gestapo officer. And through the letters, he's like trying to like justify his participation and how he never really wanted to be a Nazi, but he had no choice. And it's just freaking brilliant so far. And so far, it's only just like a one-way communication. I don't know if it stays that way through the whole book or if like the brother-in-law ever writes him back. I'm only 120 or so pages in.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's very good. The writing is very strong. So, okay, that's it.
All right.
You ready for some questions?
Need an intermission after that.
Yeah, a lot of books. I mean, it's been a couple weeks, so it's not like I read all of these in a week. And a couple of them I'm still working my way through. So, that's true. I got lots of questions here. Do you want to start us off though, since I've been yapping?
Sure. Let me pull them up. All right, this one just says book ?
I also got a strange one like that. This was from A Corpse to Be Precise on Instagram. It's just the letter I.
All right.
It was like, okay. So, what do you got next?
What? And that is attributed to Richard Nixon. That's one of the epigraphs in Gravity's Rainbow.
Oh, okay.
Before the final. Well, you wouldn't know because you haven't gotten that far.
Yeah.
But the final part 4.
Gotcha.
How there's all the like those quotes, from the going into part 4. It's just what? Richard Nixon.
Love that.
Okay. We'll go with a real question. This is from Jonathan Golding. What book surprised you recently how good it was?
That's an easy one for me. God Went Like That by Ixtamaya Murray. It's came out in 2023. Was from Northwestern University Press, who published these 2 books, How to Quiet a Vampire and The Kukotsky Enigma. It's also about a nuclear reactor incident in California. It's based on a true story. It's also a series of like interviews and letters. I reached out to them to get a couple books that I wanted to read, and they were like, "Is there anything else you want? We can just send them along." And I was like, "Yeah, give me this one. It sounds cool." And it was short. It's like 180 pages, maybe. It's just really fun, interesting book. Yeah.
Cool.
How about you?
Probably Last Words on Earth by Javier Serenas from our friends at Open Letter, which was just kind of like a fictionalized biography of sorts of Roberto Bolaño.
Oh, cool.
About this writer who's been toiling away for his whole life to make it as a writer. Yeah. And then has some novels blow up. And then very shortly after that, he gets sick and dies.
Yeah. Which is pretty much what happened.
What happened to Bolaño.
Yeah. So he died, he was like 45 or something like that?
I think he was 50.
Yeah. Either way, very young.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a very moving and heartbreaking book. Cool. It's short. You could read it in a day. I think I did. But yeah, it's just a very, very moving. This is from Jay Bergsey, best Lispector to start with. I like to recommend, I think Lispector is one of those authors that it behooves you to read somewhat in chronological order. You don't have to, but if you jump in with some of her later works that are a little bit more esoteric's not the right word, but a little bit more out there, where there's very little narrative, any if all. Yeah, you're gonna be kind of confused, like, what is this woman doing? Yeah. So I think it kind of is good to start with something like Near to the Wild Heart, which is her first book, and then kind of jump to something like Passion According to G.H. I've also recommended, The Hour of the Star is a good place to start, even though that was another later work of hers. There is a narrative to it. It's short.
It's very short.
It's very short. You can read it in a day. Yeah. So if you read that and you're like, oh, this is awesome, then you kind of have a roadmap of where to go next. Yeah. Or if you read it and you're like, I don't get it. Yeah. Then you haven't invested that much time and you can move on to someone else. So.
Yeah. Someone in the book club actually just asked that question this morning. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's your answer. Okay, this is from Trevor Arrowwood. If you could learn any language to read untranslated books, which language and why?
Spanish, and because of the film adaptation of 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, that watching that show made me want to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of great Spanish literature.
Yeah, I think Spanish would be my pick too, just because there's so much you can read. I mean, it would be really cool to read, Lispector in the original Portuguese or Krasznahorkai in the original Hungarian.
Yeah.
But, and not that there aren't, plenty of other great works in those languages. There's just not that many that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean, I think the three or four most spoken languages are like English, Mandarin probably, I think Arabic, and like Spanish is in the top 5 probably. And that's the thing. Like,
it has to be.
Portuguese, there's only 2 countries that speak it.
Yeah.
Portugal and Brazil, I think.
Yeah. So, like I can think of 2 other books I've read that were translated from Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of 2 books, both of which I DNF'd, that were translated from Hungarian.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's countless books in Spanish that I've read and loved.
Yeah.
Or that I haven't read yet that I really want to read that would be cool to read in the original language. So probably Spanish for me.
Yeah, it's just such a broad scope too between Spain and then all the Central and South American countries, and they all just have different cultures, and a lot of them have like a rich history of literature. So yeah, for me it's Spanish. So
this is not a question, but this is from Giacomo Roncaglio. Hey, you should invite Megan McDowell, translator for many Latin American authors into English.
Okay.
On the pod.
Megan McDowell, come on our podcast.
I think she did the recent release of Obscene Bird of Night.
Oh, cool.
I think.
Nice.
I'm sure she's done more than that too. But that's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I still need to read that.
I need to reread it. Okay. Jake Becca asks, most anticipated releases for this year and upcoming.
Well, that dovetails nicely into one of the questions I got. So we'll tackle this at the same time because I know what your answers are.
I got a couple questions like that. So
somebody had asked, actually, let me look who it is. Blatherbugs on Instagram asked, which is Andy more hyped for, Schadenfreude or Shadow Ticket?
So there's 2 right there from upcoming releases that I'm looking forward to. The other one, I believe it's out now, but Bomarzo, and it's from MYRB. I can't remember the author. He's an Argentine writer.
I have a copy of it.
So do I.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's out.
Yeah.
But those are probably the 3. I think to that question, which one am I more looking forward to? Probably Schadenfreude.
Wow.
I mean, I'm very excited for the new Pynchon, obviously. But, the last 2 books that he had published before this were Inherent Vice, which I loved, and Bleeding Edge, which I liked. It was a good book, but I didn't think it was anything crazy. But, Pynchon, especially with those like last 2 novels, and Against the Day preceded those 2, he's kind of gotten away from that like mega novel.
Yeah.
Like, let me just dump everything into this.
Yeah.
And has kind of just written like more like zany noir detective style novels, which is, fine. He clearly, that seems to be fun for him.
Yep.
And he certainly earned, in my opinion, the right to just, write something that he finds lots of fun. So I'm looking forward to it, but I kind of have an idea of what to expect.
Yeah.
Versus Schadenfreude, like it just sounds insane.
Yeah.
I have really no idea what to expect.
Yeah. This is very off topic, but I mentioned The Crying of Lot 49 in a reel the other day. I think it was on YouTube. Somebody commented and said that Thomas Pynchon himself has said that he actually doesn't like that book. And I was like, I mean, Thomas Pynchon doesn't really do interviews. So have you ever heard that before?
I've heard something to that effect.
Okay. Because I had some doubts about that claim.
Yeah, I think that's a little, and I forget exactly what he said. He definitely had said something along the lines of like, because that kind of turned it. It's short, and compared to his other works, it's even though it's complex, it's certainly more accessible than Gravity's Rainbow.
Yep.
By a significant stretch, and so it kind of became a book. That gets assigned a lot in college lit programs and things like that. And I think that was what his comment was more, not so much that he didn't like the book, but he didn't like that it became the book that was like most studied or something like that.
Interesting.
I think I remember him reading somewhere that he said something along the lines of like, he kind of wanted Vineland to take the place and become the book that was going to be, studied at a more academic level.
Interesting.
Again, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
There was definitely something he had shared about, Lot 49 and not liking something about, how it had been received or, its place in the canon,
right.
So to speak. But I don't think he ever said he ended up disliking the book. But I could be wrong. But like I said, I don't think that's totally inaccurate of someone to say. But I don't remember the specifics of what it was.
All right, good to know. As far as new releases for me, nothing.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Most negative Nancy. Aside from Pynchon, are there any authors that you'd like to read all of their works?
Yeah, I mean, for me, William Gass, which I'm getting closer every day. I would like to read all of Joseph Heller's work and all of John Steinbeck's work. I think those are kind of the three big ones for me.
Yeah. I think for me, certainly Lispector and Bologano are up there. I've read most of Krasnohorkai's work, except for a few oddballs that are out there, and then 1.5 of his short story collections.
Yeah.
I don't feel compelled to be a completionist, but
same.
As much of his fiction as I can. What else? I said Bologano, Lispector. Feel kind of the same way about DFW. I mean, I read Infinite Jest and was like, this is amazing. I'll have to read all of this guy's work. I read Supposedly Fun Thing I'll Never Do Again. Kind of felt the same. Similarly, after brief interviews with Hideous Men. And then when I read Broom of the System, I was like, no, I don't have to read all of this guy's work. So I would certainly like to read more of his nonfiction, at least. I've only read the one collection of essays. I'd at least like to find time to read Consider the Lobster, which is another essay collection that's very highly reviewed or received. And then The Pale King.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't feel super compelled to read anything else yet.
I mean, at that point, if you read those, though, you'll be pretty close to being done.
Pretty close, yeah.
So, might as well just do it, I guess.
Yeah. Volman's another one that I would like to read more of. I don't have any aspirations of reading everything. Because
it'd take a whole lifetime.
Right. There is so much, and,
And there's another 3,000 pages coming out next year.
I think it's even more than that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that... reminds me, I got to pre-order my box set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say those guys. Yeah.
Cool.
Gaddis.
Oh, nice. Yep. Cool.
So,
All right.
All right. Simon the Satan Templar. If you could change the ending to any book, which book would you choose to?
Oof. I mean, I guess it depends on what we're considering the ending. Because, Christina Rivera Garza's Death Takes Me,
Yeah.
Would have liked to change the last 150 pages.
Jesus Christ.
This is tangential, but I had this epiphany. I don't know if that's maybe too strong of a word, but I made a post about the Project Hail Mary movie trailer. And I felt like there were two main problems with it. First and foremost, they gave away way too much of what happens in that book. And that is the type of book that you are not reading because Andy Weir has incredible prose, right? You're reading it because the guy can string together
Good story.
a good story. He's a good storyteller. And so when you reveal key details about that story ahead of time, it really removes a lot of the reason why you're reading in the first place. So many people, wherever I posted that critique, commented that the big what I was considering like one of the big spoilers, that's not a spoiler because it happens in chapter 7 of 30. You still don't know how the book ends. And it made me realize that like so many people only think of spoilers as like you get through a story and there's an A or a B option, and if a writer's really clever, there's a hidden C option that you might not have seen coming.
Right.
We don't really read books like that.
No.
We read a lot of what people would kind of classify as speculative fiction, which means you speculate on what the book was about, what happened. You don't get this nicely tied up conclusion. So it's a fine question. There's nothing wrong with asking that question. Which book's ending would we change? But I don't have a lot to choose from because I'm not reading books with a lot of clear-cut endings anyway. So I don't know.
I can think of exactly one that I would change, and I can't remember the author. I'm terrible at remembering authors today, but it's Not Even the Dead, which from Open Letter.
Yeah.
Which I read shortly after it was published.
Mm-hmm. Who's the author?
I just told you, I don't remember.
Oh, you did say that, didn't you?
It's translated from Spanish. I remember that.
Juan Gomez Barcena.
Yeah.
And translated by...
I want to say probably Katie Whitmore.
Katie Whitmore. So you can go get a discount on this book that Andy doesn't like.
But like, it was such a good book. I was so into it. The writing was really good. The narrative was really unique. And I mean, it was a pretty linear, kind of A to B to C thing. And it was really unique though. Kind of how it was laid out, how time progressed in the novel. And I was just really, really enjoying it. And then the end, it turned into this, probably in the last 30 pages, it just turned into this really, really ham-fisted reference to the current state of U.S. politics. And I was just like, it just felt so cheap and lazy and awkward to me.
Just jammed in there.
Yeah. And I was just like, you could have made this point without making it so fucking obvious.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Who you were talking about. Come on.
Yeah.
So that kind of ruined it a little bit for me. Kind of like how we've talked about how when social media is explicitly named.
Yeah.
It's just
I poked him on Facebook.
Right. I was like, I got the gist of where you were going.
Yeah.
You didn't need to punch me in the face with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is, maybe I wouldn't even change the ending, but how the ending was written, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, that's one book that like the only book that I can really think of where like the ending really took me out of it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Keeping it going. Books by Pierre. When used book shopping, do you have a list? If so, what's your white whale?
Well, sometimes I have a list, but what usually happens is I forget to take a screenshot of it, and the list is usually somewhere digital, like a spreadsheet on like Google Sheets.
Right.
And then the store I'm at is in some podunk New Hampshire town with no cell service, and I can't pull up my own list.
Yeah.
So then I just have to try to remember.
If you already use bookstore and they have a good enough signal that you can search online for like what books you should look for, chances are it's not that great of a bookstore.
Yeah. Yeah. So the short answer is like kind of, I guess. And do I have a white whale? You know, for a long time, I was looking for Musashi by Eiji Yoshikawa, and I couldn't find it, so I ended up buying it used online. But recently, I don't think so. I mean, I always look for kind of like Pynchon or Volman or,
Right.
you know, kind of some of those big name authors that we like.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip ahead and because my answer will kind of tie into this next question. How do you guys find and choose such interesting books?
Yeah.
Like, I've kind of given up making lists when I go into stores. Like, I like to just browse and let the books find me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, again, kind of the same way with like how I choose books that I think are interesting. Like, without sounding too abstract and cliche, like I kind of just let them find me.
Yeah.
You know, keep my eyes peeled for what I think sounds interesting. And then, you know, like I've said before, like you just kind of build up some experience and understanding of what you like. And then it becomes kind of easier to like, I don't want to say judge a book by its cover, but like I can usually tell based on the title and the cover, like, if I'm going to be into it or not. Or if I see a title and, you know, cover or whatever that looks like interesting to me and I grab it off the shelf and it's got a 4-paragraph synopsis.
Yeah.
It's probably not my jam. As far as like white whales, I don't really have anything specific. I mean, I always kind of keep my eye out for stuff that I know is rare, or I'm not likely to find somewhere else. You know, Volman isn't exactly rare, but he doesn't seem to pop up very often. He's kind of one of those authors, I think, you know, you go to used bookstore, you see tons of John Grisham or whatever.
Yeah.
Because everybody and their mother has had a John Grisham novel at some point, so they just donate it. But the number of people that, the Venn diagram of people that have read Volman and want to donate their Volman is like 2 separate circles, you know? Yeah. So like you're not going into many bookstores and finding Volman. So it's always, even if it's something that I could buy on Amazon for $20 and not really hurt the wallet, like it's cool to see it in the wild. But you know, I'm always looking for something like, you know, some Joseph McElroy. His stuff is basically all out of print at this point. Same thing with like Alexander Thoreau. Even though I haven't read any of those two, like, you know, like a book like Darkenville's Cat. Yeah. That goes for, if you look online, like I don't think I've ever seen it for less than $200-$300.
Wow.
And so like there's a book by Joseph McElroy, Lookout Cartridge. I found at one of the books, Monroe Street Books up in Vermont, I found a copy there that it's not in the best shape, but it's a first edition hardcover with no dust jacket. I got it for like $6.
Nice.
And, you know, in good condition, it's probably like 60 easily, if not more. So, I mean, obviously with the state it's in, it's not something I'm going to turn around and flip, but like, it's cool when you find something like that is just kind of a hidden gem.
Definitely, yeah.
So stuff like that, like I don't really have like any sort of particular like white whale, but like there's just, you just keep your eyes peeled for things and sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah.
I will say the one that I am always on the hunt for, and I cannot remember. So it was one of the bookstores we went to here in New Hampshire. I don't remember the edition details and which volume it is, but one of the print runs of, or Miss Macintosh, My Darling, did a couple different print runs, one with Dalkey and one with, I want to say it was Harcourt, but I could be wrong. But both of them were 2-volume sets. And I found it was, whatever publisher wasn't Dalkey, I found like volume 2. And I remember I had the guy like looking high and low in the store, like, do you have volume 1 anywhere?
Yeah. That sucks.
He's got a note in his desk, like, if I ever find volume 1, call Andrew.
Nice.
But yeah, stuff like that where like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
as far as like, because I also got a question like, how do we find the books, the rare hidden gem books?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a multi-pronged thing for me. First and foremost, I would say there's just a handful of publishers that we both like, that we know.
Right.
They publish very specific types of things.
Right.
And we trust that they're publishing stuff that we're going to at least be interested in. So NYRB, Deep Vellum, Open Letter, New Directions. There's a lot of great university presses, Chicago University Press, Northwestern University Press. But in general, I would say like university presses are kind of like a hidden gem of publishing. There's a lot of a lot of them. There's way more than you would think. And they're usually publishing some really interesting stuff, because for them, it's not really like at all a money-making endeavor.
Right.
It's just like, it's literally like bright minds either translating or writing good books.
Right. Right.
So that's a good place to look. And then from there, I mean, there's some, like, I guess you would call them red flags for me. So if a book's title or the author's name or the book design kind of looks like maybe it would be for me, but then I get and see, oh, it was like a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
Or, blurbed by certain people.
Yeah. If on anywhere on the cover of the book, the author's name is bigger than the title,
that's a big red flag.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. And talking about like finding Volman used, there's a used bookstore in Mass called the Used Book Superstore. And it is very much like, this is going to be very judgmental, but it's very much like your book talk.
Yeah.
Soccer mom.
Yeah.
Book of the week, beach reads type of thing. That it even says on their website, like they take books and trade. It says like, we'll take anything that was published in the last 5 years or anything at all from these authors, from no matter when they were published. And it's like Colleen Hoover and, like all those kind of names. Yeah. But I went there earlier this summer, and they had Europe Central by Volman. I was like, damn, okay. And sometimes they do have like some great books that you would not expect amongst all of the dreck. So
I know there's a used bookstore on the Cape that I go to pretty much most times that I'm down there visiting, and I've found at least 3 Volman books there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like I'll go in, there's Fathers and Crows. Got it.
Nice.
Go back 2 months later. Oh, there's the Butterflies. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So I've kind of gotten lucky there. So
nice.
That's cool.
Yeah. You have any other questions?
I got plenty more.
Oh, shit.
Shelf Seeker would like to know any good booked TV/movie adaptations.
I also got a similar question to this. I thought 100 Years of Solitude was brilliant.
Yep.
Somebody had asked me, like, what do I think the best adaptations of all time are? For sure, Jaws. One of the best films ever made based on a terrible book. The book sucks so bad. Yeah. But the fact that, like, Spielberg or whoever, he directed, but whoever was involved in making it into a film, that they saw the potential is really cool.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. Great book, fantastic film. Really a landmark film, just like Jaws. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, most of the time they suck, I think, adaptations.
Yeah, I think the Inherent Vice adaptation was pretty good.
Yep.
I watched it. I've seen it twice now. The first time I watched it, I remember kind of being like a little lukewarm. But the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, this, obviously there's stuff that got cut out.
Yep.
But I think it's PTA, so
yeah,
pretty reasonable to expect it's going to be a well-made movie.
Yeah.
It was.
Shogun by James Clavell. That TV adaptation was great.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was very good. I didn't think it was like the best I've ever seen, but it wasn't bad by any means.
Yeah, no, it was certainly very well made.
Yeah.
Those are the only two that I can like think of that immediately come to mind.
Yeah.
It's not an adaptation because it's not based on anything, but the movie Under the Silver Lake, starring Andrew Garfield, always kind of reminds me of like it's very Pynchon-esque. I think it's great. I'm really looking forward to One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
That
based on Vineland, right?
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So
somebody on Reddit had kind of alluded to the fact that they got an early screening to it, and that it's very Pynchon-esque, more so than even Inherent Vice, the film. So take that for what it's worth.
I mean, not to sound like an ass, but I would expect a movie that's loosely based off of a Pynchon novel would be Pynchon-esque.
Yeah, but I think the interesting thing about it is like Inherent Vice was a clear adaptation.
Yes, correct.
This is inspired by
right,
or whatever.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We already kind of covered that. If you could teach a college course on one writer or book, who or what would it be?
I'm probably going to go with William Gass, just because I think there's a lot to unpack in both the writing, the prose, and the themes. And he was a college professor, so it's a nice little homage to his career. Yeah, that's my choice.
I think I would probably go with Gaddis.
Interesting. Okay.
I think there's like I had said a few weeks ago, I think like I've been kind of reading his letters, on my lunch breaks, and I think it's just his work is so cool.
Yeah,
there's so much there. Certainly, a body of work that gets more rewarding the more you dig into it.
Yep.
I think the obvious answers for me would be like Pynchon or DFW.
Yeah.
But those would just be so heady.
Yeah.
And like dense and difficult. And not that Gaddis is easy by any stretch, but I think that would just be super interesting. I think it would be, if you put a gun to my head, I would probably pick Wallace over Pynchon.
Yeah.
Only because, and like I've said this before, and people have asked like, who would you want to have lunch with or interview or something like that? Like, not that Pynchon missed the mark and was wrong about a lot of things, because his work is certainly still very prescient, but Wallace was just, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like he just nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you look at his work compared to Pynchon's, like they're both very prescient and kind of predict a lot of things, and they're kind of right, and their work is going to stand the test of time. But like, I think Wallace has much more of like a human emotional approach to it. Like there's that emotional connection to the problems at hand.
Yeah.
He's not some crackpot that used to work at Boeing and now just sits in a dark apartment smoking weed all day.
Right. Yeah.
And predicting how everything is
a
paranoid conspiracy.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So Kind of answer these ones. What's your favorite novel written before 1800?
Oof.
Yeah, I don't know if I've read any.
I've read some, but I don't know that I loved any of them. Well, let me see. I didn't like Robinson Crusoe. When was The Count of Monte Cristo published? I think that was the 1800s. Yeah, 1846. Let me think. Novels published in the 18th century.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
So Gulliver's Travels, I read that when I was younger, and I think I liked it. Yeah, I haven't read like any of these.
Yeah, we're not really 18th century boys.
We're not even 19th century boys.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like some of this stuff I read in like high school, but I don't remember much of it or like remember loving it.
Yeah.
I've read a little like Marquis de Sade. That's got to be pre. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
All right. Any books that made you cry?
Not that I can recall. I'm sure it's happened, but
Yeah, I don't think I've ever like actually shed tears over a book. I mean, there's certainly been plenty that have like, moved me emotionally.
Yeah.
Towards that general sadness. I mean, Hard Rain Falling comes to mind. Plenty of points in 100 Years of Solitude.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, I got one more. That was from Travis Myers, Mega Fictional Musings. Menatiris, will you guys ever make a video about Angels by Dennis Johnson? Jesus Christ.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we'll probably do like a whole Dennis Johnson episode at some point.
That'll happen at some point in the future.
Cool.
All right, I got a few more, but I don't think they'd make for very good
I've got a bunch of good ones here.
So, yeah, let's...
This is specifically for you because I can't answer this, but Jay Bergsy asks, best DFW books to read after Infinite Jest? If you had, maybe just give one recommendation.
I would say either Supposedly Fun Thing I'll Never Do Again, if you want to go the nonfiction route, or Oblivion.
Cool.
If you want to go fiction.
McGee Collects asks, do you guys ever read non-literature, just fun action or fantasy, nothing too deep? Not really.
Not really. I mean, I read Dune this year. That's probably the closest I would get to, which, non-literature, which, I mean, at this point it is kind of, even if you don't want to put it under the capital L literature, I mean, it's not just like a sci-fi.
Right.
Like
There's a lot of politics.
Yeah. There's a lot of discourse out there.
Yeah, I think the closest I get this year is probably The Adventures and Misadventures of Juan Orpi that we read.
Yeah.
That was kind of a slapstick, funny,
Yeah.
Really not much there other than some laughs. Mr. Todd SLP asks, you read prize winners, but do you follow any prize lists annually? No.
No.
What is your favorite book from a genre you don't normally read? I read a couple years ago Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman, which was originally self-published, I believe. And that's a mix of historical fiction, fantasy, and horror, which are at least two genres I don't read much of. And it was very enjoyable. So,
Yeah.
Anything for you?
Not really. I mean, I haven't read... I was thinking kind of about like Watchmen with that question. Like, I don't really ever read graphic novels, but that was awesome.
Cool.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Most disappointing book you've ever read? And that comes from Pablo Desperados.
Ducks Newburyport.
Brutal. Okay. I'm going to go with Death Takes Me, Christina Rivera Garza. Don Sam 718 asks, what are the most books you've read in a single year? The most I've read is 15. Rarely in a few I've read 25. I don't know, and I don't care. You've read over 100.
Yeah, I did 100, almost 120 one year.
Yeah. Squirrel Nutkin, can we meet your Akita on the pod? I actually have 2 of them, and let me take a video of them right now.
They're quietly sleeping, so we're just going to let them do that.
There they are. John Philip Kenny asks, best intro book to Faulkner. We're the wrong people to ask.
Yeah.
Flaka Mahmuti, what do you do to all the physical book copies after you read them?
Put them back on the shelf and look at them and remind myself of how smart I am because I've read all these books. No, I mean, yeah, sometimes if I'm like, yeah, this is a good book, I might reread this, or I want to keep this as part of my collection. Then it goes back on the shelf. Other times, if it's, I'll mail it to a friend or donate it or sell it online.
Yeah. My process is very similar. I usually will hang on to them at least through the end of the year because we do like year-end recaps.
Right.
And it's just nice to have them on hand. And being that I make content about books, it's nice to have the physical copy to show in the video. But then, yeah, I take everything. I keep everything that I read in the year separate. Mm-hmm. At the end of the year, I go to refile it on my shelf. The stuff that I loved, that I know that we'll probably talk about again. I don't know if I'll ever fully reread it, but we might do an episode about it or whatever. I'll keep that. Stuff that I really hated, I will either try to sell or donate it to like a library or whatever. And then stuff that I was kind of like, yeah, I liked it, but I don't really need to keep it, I'll give to friends.
Yeah.
So it's a good question. I have too many books though. Some similar questions to what we already got, so I'm just trying to read through these. What's a book you'd have recommended a few years ago, but no longer would, and why? That's from Matthew Eld96 on Instagram. I don't know that I have one.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind. It's an interesting question. This is similar. This is from Brian Lutmer on Instagram. Favorite book you wouldn't recommend to people? I know exactly what this is for me.
Favorite book I wouldn't recommend to people. Are you going to say Love and Terror?
No, but that is also a good choice.
Yeah.
For a similar reason to the one I have in mind, which is The Tunnel.
Yeah.
So The Tunnel is definitely not for everybody.
Right.
The book itself, and it's hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Love and Terror by William Herrick is another great book that's hard to get a hold of, and probably also not for everybody.
Agreed.
So maybe those two. Are there any other books you want to throw out there?
Not really. I mean, there's, the ones I talk about all the time. Like, I would love to recommend Crafty's Rainbow to everybody, but like, I know not everybody I recommend that to is going to jive with it for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
So
this is an interesting one. MJK001221 asks, when reading, what is more important for you, prose or story? Now, I'm going to nitpick this question a little bit. It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than just those two options, in my opinion.
Yes.
There can be prose, there can be story, there can be themes, there can be character development. I don't really care so much. I'm fine with any of those. It just whichever thing that the author is doing, it needs to be done well.
Right.
So if the writing is very simple, but it's an excellent story, I'm in.
Yeah.
If there's not much of a story, but it's got very interesting characters, I'm in. If it doesn't have either of those things, but the writing just blows your mind, I'm in.
Right.
I gravitate towards very thematically dense, philosophically dense works. like How to Quiet a Vampire is a good example. There is a little bit of a story here. It's pretty slow moving. I mean, the guy's on vacation in a town where he used to be a Gestapo officer. It's not like a lot of stuff happening.
Right.
He's just kind of like remembering his time.
Right.
But philosophically, it's very dense. The writing is not like William Gass level, but it's not bad by any means. So yeah, it just has to have like something has to be done well.
Yeah, I think it's such a hard question to answer, like one or the other, because I don't think you can have that good of a book without one or the other.
Right.
Or without having a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, they aren't mutually exclusive. Like I don't need a book to have like a super compelling narrative. But if there's nothing there and nothing's happening, there's no tension that's kind of stringing you along.
Yeah.
Like no amount of writing, like the writing would have to be insanely good to kind of pull you back. Like if you think about something like The Tunnel, like the writing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And there's not a well-defined narrative.
Right.
I mean, there's things happening.
Yeah.
But like the narrative idea of this guy losing his mind writing an introduction to a historical text and kind of turning it into a, you know, personal quasi autobiography examining the moral fascism of the heart.
Right.
Is super interesting.
Yeah.
That's that kind of that tension that I'm looking for. Like,
yeah, he never even really digs that much of the tunnel in the book.
right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's mostly just like little stories about his life.
Yeah. It's more of a philosophical tunnel than a
But if you were like, hey, do you want to read a book about a professor that just, you know, kind of writes some meaningless stories about his life? No.
Right.
But then you kind of get into what is happening there, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm interested in that.
So flipping pages 10 says, pettiest reason you've ever DNF'd a book, you can't say brain tumor.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Pettiest reason you've ever DNF'd a book. You're not allowed to say brain tumor.
Well, that's not a very petty reason. I don't
really have a strong answer for this, and I don't know if this is petty, but you know, you DNF'd Ducks Newburyport because the repetition of the phrase "the fact that,"
yeah,
which isn't necessarily like a petty reason in the sense that it's a bad reason to DNF a book. Obviously, it's annoying just to have the same speech crutch over and over and over again.
right.
But that is kind of like a funny one to me.
Yeah, that's probably my answer. I mean, if you think about the fact that like that phrase is just so easy and it comes up everywhere, and like I'll say it or read it and just have like a little tremor of like, fuck, Lucy Ellman, god damn it, like leave me alone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It haunts me.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I mean, I guess like the book I mentioned at the reading recap, Last Words from Montmartre, it's like, yeah, it's just kind of a whiny book, so that's a little petty, I suppose. Who is an author that you want to read, but you know you probably never will? That's a weird question. That comes from your so-called friend. That's a username, not a...
Yeah, I figured. An author that I want to read that I probably never will.
I mean, for the most part, I just read the others that I want to read.
Say, like, I can think of plenty of authors that I probably won't read, like, in the grand scheme of things, of like having a better picture of, you know, capital L literature as a whole, and diving into the whole eye-rolling idea of a literary canon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would probably behoove me to read some Faulkner.
Right.
And, you know, this isn't to like criticize anyone, Faulkner himself, or anyone that likes his work. As of right now, like, I don't have a ton of interest in reading it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there are plenty of authors like that you know, it would certainly serve me well to read them, but at this point in time, you know, like I don't really have a ton of interest in reading Tolstoy. I would like to read Dickens, but he's not super high on my.
Yeah, so maybe that's your answer.
Yeah,
Dickens.
That's probably the closest I would get is someone like Dickens.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anybody in mind. Garrett Johnson asks, read any Vasily Grossman? Everything Flows was amazing. I think it's right up y'all's alley. I have 2 of his books.
I have one of his books.
I have Stalingrad, and I have Life and Fate or something like that.
Those are the 2 big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a third. I don't know.
I know.
I haven't read them, and I want to read them.
I always forget. I think I have Life and Fate. I can never remember because Life and Fate and Stalingrad are sort of sequel. You know, one's kind of follows the other, and I can never remember which one is the first of the 2 in kind of a chronological order, and which one I actually have. I think I have Life and Fate. I think, and I feel like that's probably the second of the 2.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, that I don't know.
Is there a novel that you've read that you think people should read but nobody talks about? That's probably how you could characterize the majority of the books that we talk about.
Yeah, so many of them.
Not to like sound like a snob or an elitist, but like I would say the most common comment I get on anything that we post to the internet is, wow, you always recommend books I've never seen anyone talking about. And this is a little bonus tip for people. A good way to build engagement on your social media is right after you make a post, whatever that book is about or books that you're talking about in that post, if you go and search for those books on whichever platform you're using and you find other posts and you like comment on them, like them, whatever, what will happen is people will get the notification, oh, this account just like commented on my thing. And then they will click on your profile and see, oh, they just posted something about this book that I've also read. And so then they will interact with your post and it'll help boost your engagement. A lot of times when I do this, there are no other posts about the book for me to engage with. I'm like the first person, or at least Instagram or TikTok or whichever is not turning up any results. So yeah. Why do you think readapting books isn't a thing like it is in film and music? It very much is. It's, music's very simple to do a cover of a song, or an adaptation. Film is a little bit harder, but I think like, there's budget constraints there.
Right.
But books, one of my favorite books is, A Far Better Rest by Suzanne Allen, which is a retelling of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. So it's definitely out there. I mean, there's a lot of like fan fiction too, which is stuff that we don't read. But
there's a Borges short story about a guy who sets out to rewrite Don Quixote, but he's like rewriting it word for word.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
But like, because he's writing it from a different time period and in a different setting than Cervantes, it's a different book.
Right.
It's like, no, he's writing the same book word for word. And there's like a section in there where, it'll quote a passage from the Don Quixote.
Yep.
And then Pierre Menard wrote this, and it's like the exact same.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's like, I think Infinite Jest has like a lot of stuff that it drew almost directly from like the brothers Karamazov, and this is like a retelling of Shakespeare's Hamlet or whatever. So it's definitely out there. You just sometimes it's not obvious. Miles Hall 16 asks, how do you stay motivated when reading very long books like The 40 Days of Musa Dog? Fantastic book. Do you want to go first on that? How do you stay motivated when reading long books?
I don't know. I don't. usually just try to like the book. And like, if I like the book, then
yeah,
I keep reading it. You know, it helps sometimes with like friends that if you read a book with, even it doesn't even have to be like a big group book club like we do. It could just be with like one or two other people, and you kind of have, I don't know, accountability sounds a little bit strong, but like you have that kind of camaraderie of like, oh, I'm reading it with these other two people.
Yeah.
So I'd like to keep chipping at it so that I can talk to them about it.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, the first real big key is just read books that you like.
Right.
You know, and if you're not liking it, don't be afraid to put it down. I think it also kind of like depends on why you picked the book up in the first place. If it's like a Gravity's Rainbow and you know that it's going to be challenging going in, there's going to be parts that are maybe, I don't want to say boring, but just like so confusing.
Right.
You just feel lost. I mean, yeah, in that instance, like, do try to push through, but like 40 Days of Musa Dog, like I read that book in like a week and a half, and that's a long book.
Yeah.
It's 900 pages, and that's very fast for me, but it's like I loved it.
Right.
So I just wanted to read it. I didn't really have to do anything externally. Do you have any advice for people who want to start making book content? I have a whole course teaching people how to do it on our Patreon. There's a link down below. You can check it out. Access to that tier on our Patreon also comes with everything that the book club comes with. So it's a really cool thing to do. But I would just say, just do it. Just make stuff and start posting it. That's really the secret there. Modern literature books. This is an interesting question. Scott Wannabe asks, is it egocentric to want to read classics? No, I don't think so.
I mean, no, unless you want to, like, your goal is to walk into a dinner party and be like, oh, so I was reading Dostoevsky last night.
Right.
You know, that's you know, you're an asshole. But like,
yeah,
if you just want to read Dostoevsky, then like go for it.
Yeah. Danelli Balavia asks, best Italian books you've ever read. I was a big fan of The Tartar Steppe by Dino Buzzati. You didn't love the translation that you read called The Stronghold.
Yeah.
Any other Italian books that are coming to mind for you?
The only one I can think of is Distant Light by Antonio Moriseco. Some Archipelago. It was short. It was pretty good.
Nice. This is more for me. Literary Strategy asks, how many of the books that you talk about on your videos have you fully read? So I got a weird comment on the reel I posted yesterday about like read books in my collection. Mm-hmm. And this person's like, oh, you are recommending books that you haven't even read. Like you're basing books on the cover. And it's like, guys, I'm very upfront about like this came in the mail. I haven't read it yet. Or I read this book or I DNF'd this book.
Right.
So any book that I'm talking about, I've read in full unless I say I DNF'd it. Or I haven't read it yet. And it's not like I went out and bought like Baron Venkheim's Homecoming by Laszlo Krasnohorkai because I thought it looked pretty.
Yeah.
I bought it because you and I have talked about it and it sounds interesting to me.
Right. You just haven't read it yet.
I just haven't read it yet. So, yeah, I guess all of them. Sorry, we have a couple.
I got a handful on the Discord too.
Yeah, we'll do those separate.
This is gonna be a long one.
People love the long ones.
I got things to do, man.
Come on. What have you been watching lately? Any recommendations? No, I haven't been watching anything.
I've been watching a lot of the Boston Red Sox.
All right. I like George Orwell, Dostoevsky, and Kafka. Can you please suggest me an author?
Pynchon, DFW, William Gaddis, William Vollman, Don DeLillo, William Gass.
Okay.
Any of the authors that I talk about frequently.
Well, William Herrick, the author of Love and Terror, which you will have a hard time finding, has been called the American George Orwell.
All right, there you go.
Don Carpenter, the author of Hard Rain Falling, which you should be able to get a copy of, has been called the American Dostoevsky. So if you wanted if you wanted, American counterparts to some of these names, there you go. The Hospital by Ahmed Bounani. That book is very much Kafka-esque.
Lots of Krasznahorkai is Kafkaesque. So there's another modern.
And as far as Dostoevsky, I mean, I don't know if his writing is like Dostoevsky's, but maybe like Blue Lard by Vladimir Sorokin. I mean, Sorokin's a very prominent, prolific contemporary Russian author that you might want to check out. So let me quickly go to YouTube. We had some over there as well. Kate Scribbles asks, are there any themes you find yourself drawn to? If so, which ones and why do you think that is?
I'm having like a hard time thinking of specific ones. I mean, there's a lot of like similar thematic ideals between, I sound like a broken record, Pynchon, Wallace, Gaddis, in terms of, with Pynchon specifically, like systems of control, Wallace, the idea of like kind of creating our own obsessions and fanaticisms. Gaddis, especially with something like JR, where there's like that kind of anxiety over the like influx of information and just everything just kind of getting dumped on you at once. I was kind of talking about this with someone recently. They're like, it's funny, something like in my personal life, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers will feel this way as well. Something happens and you don't really ever get any kind of quote unquote closure. Like closure's not real. Like that's just
right.
It doesn't happen. Whatever's going on in your life, could just be like a shitty breakup or something like that. Like you very rarely, if ever, get a neat, tidy bow on like an explanation of like what happened and how it got there. And the story's over now. Like you don't really know, and your life just kind of goes on. And you can either continue to try and speculate and solve the riddle that maybe doesn't actually exist, or you can just kind of keep trucking along with your life. And I love books that mirror that just kind of have this ambiguity to them where you're forced to speculate.
Yeah.
Because that's how real life works. Like you don't get a neat, tidy ending on pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Like shit happens, life goes on.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a good way to put it.
So that's not necessarily a theme, but just kind of a structural thing of books that I really like, where it's just like, you don't get to find out what happened.
Yeah.
It's over now.
I would say the same. I like that as well. I tend to gravitate towards books about war, genocide, fascism, nihilism.
Something you want to tell us, Tony?
I don't know why. I am curious. I think I'm just like constantly in shock that humans can do these things to each other. I don't know why. I mean, there's in Middle C, the character sets up the Inhumanity Museum.
Right.
And it's basically just like a room he has filled with like newspaper clippings about tragedies, committed from one person to another, or groups of people. And there's a scene, I don't know if you've probably gotten to it, where it's like just like naming like the photos. And I was like, I don't need to look any of these up. I've seen all of these pictures already. Yes. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I know 90% of these.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what that says about me.
A lot actually.
But, yeah. So that's pretty much it for me for themes I'm drawn to. I love John Steinbeck and Cormac McCarthy. Could you recommend any similar authors or novels? Love the channel. Thank you very much. That's from Silencio 11. I need glasses again. Authors like Steinbeck. So I always say the modern day Steinbeck is Paul Harding. He wrote Tinkers, Enon, and This Other Eden. Those are his 3 books that are currently out. I think if you like Steinbeck, you'll like his books.
Mm-hmm. I think if you like McCarthy, you should check out, especially if you like the dark McCarthy. I mean, a book like Suttree is a little bit more lighthearted. But if you like, his dark, violent stuff, first thing that came to mind is Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. That book is just bleak, man. But it's awesome. It's a great book, but it's dark and violent and yeah.
What's that other book that you're always saying is similar to Blood Meridian?
Oh, The Garden.
The Garden.
Yes, by Aidan Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I almost forgot.
Check those out. Having read both Grapes of Wrath and East of Eden, where would you rank Steinbeck and a word on The Grapes? You didn't love The Grapes. I loved The Grapes.
I thought it was a great book. I just, by the end of it, I kind of felt like
you'd had enough.
Yeah, more or less.
I think Steinbeck is in the conversation for greatest American writers.
Yeah, I don't think we're qualified to rank him anything lower than potentially one of the best ever.
Yeah, certainly top 5.
Right. Who am I to say he's a hack?
Right. I mean,
he's overrated. Like, Andrew, shut up.
I think the thing that's impressive to me about Steinbeck is he was pretty prolific. He wrote a lot.
Yeah.
Everything I've read's been good. The writing itself, like the prose are great. The imagery is great. The themes are like evergreen. I think about Grapes of Wrath a lot and how there's so many similarities to what we're potentially facing with AI displacing a lot of people and their work. And I don't predict that our culture is going to handle it much better than the Great Dust Bowl migration was handled 100 years ago.
We're fucked.
Yeah. So good question. What are your requirements for a book to have a permanent spot on your shelves? We kind of already tackled this, but do you have any like hard and fast rules?
I think something that I always look for, it's funny, I look for this in a lot of stuff, not just in books, but like, the Jimmy V speech when he won the Arthur Ashe Award.
I think I've seen it, but yeah.
But basically, he was like, a full day, you think, you laugh, and you have your emotions move you to tears. And maybe not necessarily to tears, but like if a book can make me think about something beyond just like trying to figure out the narrative, can make me laugh, and can move me emotionally, even if it hits 2 of the 3, like that's a solid book.
I think that's a good rule. Thoughts on this year's Booker long list? I don't think either of us have any thoughts on it.
I mean, didn't even know it was out yet.
I looked at it and I was like, I don't know anything about any of these books.
I don't care about it.
Have you ever read or thought about reading The Power Broker?
No.
I have. I mean, it's very long, though. That one I might do an audiobook, to be honest.
I mean, I probably thought about it at one point when I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to get all these big books and read big books. And then I grew up.
Yeah, then I grew up. This is a fun one. What is your favorite and least favorite flower? I would say I'll let you think on that. My least favorite flower is lupines or lupines. They're these like thin kind of stalks of purple. And the reason why I hate them is not anything to do with the flowers themselves, but they have a fairly short season and people go fucking crazy in New Hampshire about them. And it's like everyone who like thinks they're a photographer like wants to get photos of the lupines. And so your internet feed, no matter the platform, will just be like completely just flooded with these terrible photos that people took with their phones and like just cranked the saturation up to 1,000%, and they just look cartoonish and terrible. And then like fights will break out about like, oh, where did you find that patch? And then like people don't want to disclose the location because they don't want other people to get the same photo. And it's like, then people argue about it. It's so annoying and stupid. So that's my least favorite flower. No fault of the flower itself.
You've clearly put way more thought into this than I have. I don't have an answer. So
I haven't thought of it, but that, that just comes to mind. And then I don't know,
favorite. That's a trigger for you.
Yeah. I don't know. Sunflowers are pretty cool. Like,
yeah, I guess they're all right.
Go see
I don't really have favorites. These favorites.
You've been talking about hard and maximalist books. How do you define them? That's from very appropriate username here, Potzer Brodernist.
How do I define them? Hard and maximalist. I don't know how else to answer that. It's not easy, and it's probably long and verbose.
Yeah. I mean, for me, if I have to keep a dictionary nearby, I would consider it hard. If I have to reread a lot, I would consider it hard. Maximalist, I think, is a little bit more, clearly defined, I guess. Like the author intentionally wrote more than was needed.
Right.
And instead of stripping away, like added to.
Right.
Yeah. Have you ever found yourself defending a problematic character or author? If so, why? And that's from Ahmed Richardson.
I've certainly found myself defending DFW. Not necessarily any of the things that make him problematic, but his quality as an artist. And as far as why, it's because I think he's a great writer, and I think he had a lot to say. And, I also think unlike, other people that writers, actors, whoever that, could be or have been problematic. Like, it seems like DFW has like taken some responsibility for that.
Yeah.
It wasn't to try to like, no, Mary Carr was crazy. You're like, I wasn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Plus, he was deeply flawed. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't excuse anything, but like he was a deeply flawed person.
Not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but one thing that kind of bothers me about this conversation is people will always bring up like, oh, never put your heroes on a pedestal and everyone's got problems. And to like flatten it in that way is like, guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but like trafficking a teenager when you're in your 40s is not the same as being an alcoholic.
Right.
Or like being rude to your fans at signings and public appearances. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Like
there's degrees to this.
Like I used to absolutely love Kanye West. And, Lord knows I've done some things and said some things that are, I don't know, hopefully not problematic, but like I've been kind of a shitty person at times.
Yeah.
But,
you're not.
I've never had to be talked out of naming my album "I Love Hitler,"
right,
and turned into a full-blown Nazi,
right? Because you never printed and sold shirts with swastikas,
right? Because I just surrounded myself with yes men. Yeah. If I send you a message next week, hey Tony, I was thinking about for this week's episode, like I could just talk about how I think Hitler got a bad rap. You would tell me to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that might be the end of the podcast.
And I'd go, you know what? You're probably right. I should keep that one to myself.
Oh man.
It would be very problematic if you were like, yeah, Andy, sure.
Yeah.
On that note,
we're going to pivot to the questions from the group, which we're going to save for the book club members exclusively. If you want to hear more about what we have to say and find out what those questions are, you can join the book club. The link is down below. And Patreon just actually added a really nice feature. So previously, the bonus episodes were being posted on Patreon only, so you had to watch them there. I'm still posting them there, but there's now an RSS feed.
Oh, cool.
So you can actually watch it on your favorite podcast platform, but you can only get access to it
through Spotify.
Through
Patreon.
Through Patreon, you can just link your account to the Patreon. So,
I promise I'm not going to actually talk about Hitler. That was a joke. I was being facetious.
Yeah,
he sucked. I'm comfortable saying that.
Not a cool guy.
Yeah,
not
great.
And we'll see you next week.